yoga practice for all of us that no matter what posture we're taking, if we're holding it for a few breaths, see if we can drop into our bodies and create a little bit more of a state of ease in that posture. Okay? It's you can connect to your breath or the feelings in your body, but let's make our asana, a place that can be useful for us. Doesn't mean that we're not getting stronger or that we're not getting more flexible. And also remember, don't do anything that your healthcare professionals have told you not to do. Okay? So sitting well, roll the shoulders back a few times, whether you're seated in a chair or on the floor. Just notice how the shoulder joints are feeling. Yoga practice and meditation practice, it's all about being aware of how your body's actually feeling, being tuned in to what's going on at this very moment. And as you sit up tall, whatever position you've taken, we want to sit to the front of our sit bones. So that's the difference between sitting up tall and not sitting up tall. If you tuck your tailbone under, it's going to be hard to get a tall spine. So sit to the front of your sit bones. Sometimes I move the flesh of my back end straight back behind me to make this a little easier. If you're in a chair, knees are over the ankles. And then however you're sitting, see if you can move your head back over your heart and your heart back over your hips, as if you're laying the whole front of your body on and against the back of your body. So you're going to feel the abdominal muscles engage. It's a beautiful thing. It's what they're supposed to do when we're sitting tall. And we have a tendency to want to lift our chin, just kind of move your head a little bit from side to side, maybe make some half circles to the front. We have a lot of habitual tightness in the top and the back of our upper shoulders. Sometimes I think this adds to that wanting or immediate reaction of lifting the chin all the time. Let's see if we can bring the chin to a neutral position by moving the head back over the heart and reaching up to the tops of your ears to bring your chin to a neutral position. Hopefully that feels comfortable. It's almost as if the jawline moves back. Just take a few moments to breathe. Inhale and exhale. Maybe a big inhale and a long exhale. Focusing on breath can be so powerful for us. Help us in difficult situations, help us if we have difficulty sleeping, focusing on the actual feeling of the breath. Very powerful. Let the breath soften into its natural rhythm. And just notice how your body's feeling. Notice any sensations around the parts of you that are against the chair, the seat of the chair, or against the floor. Notice any tingling or any pressure. Maybe notice how your feet feel. If you feel cool or warm. And your hands, are they relaxed? You feel any vibration? Focus gently now on your intention for practice today, the reason that you came to your mat or your chair. And maybe this connects into a larger intention that you have in your life that you put out there for the world. Maybe not. So maybe you'll have to open up your eyes, roll the shoulders back once again, just kind of remind us to lay the front body against the strength of the back body, keep everything open, the back body strong, strong back, soft front. Release the arms out. We're just going to inhale those palms up, nice and slow to our own pace, and exhale the palms back down. Oh. It's almost as if when you lift the palms up, you're pressing down through the hips. And then when you press the palms down, you're rising up through the torso. Maybe you feel that. It's not always easy to get a full range of motion around certain joints in our body, depending on how we're feeling today. And that's okay. You just do the best that you can. Don't move towards anything painful, anything that causes any anxiety or undue tension. And maybe just one more. And let's exhale the hands down the heart center. Inhaling now to that cactus or gold pose position with the elbows nice and heavy. And let's exhale and wrap those arms around the front of our body. Keeping the neck and the shoulders relaxed. Inhale, opening up, gold pose to cactus position. And exhale, wrapping those arms around our body. Just do that a few more times with the rhythm of your own breath. And release. Just bring the hands down on the sides. Again, reaching up through the tops of the ears, head back over the heart. Inhale here, exhale, bring the right ear towards the right shoulder. Take a few breaths here, letting gravity and the weight of your head help open up along the side of your neck. Inhale the head back up. Exhale it over to the other side when you're ready. Sometimes you might want to hold the stretcher position a little longer because you like the way it feels. You're more than welcome to do that. See if you can soften into the shape. You still have a strong back and a soft front, still sitting tall, but softening into this stretch. And inhale back up. Now sitting nice and tall, reaching up through the tops of the ears, we're going to turn our head to the right and left. Inhale here. Exhale, turn the head to the right, keeping that chin parallel to the ground. Inhale back to center. And exhale, turn it to the left. Now we're going to do a little bit of a practice. Looking back to center now. I don't want you to turn your head, but I'd like you to close your eyes. And when you inhale and exhale, I want you to imagine that you are turning your head as far to the right as you can. Okay, so you're going to imagine this as you breathe without actually moving your head. Close your eyes, take a nice inhale and exhale. And imagine turning your head to look way over that right shoulder. Just imagine it as you breathe. And then go ahead and open your eyes. And now we're actually going to turn our head to look over our right shoulder. Inhale here. And exhale, turn. You may notice that you were able to look a little bit further. Our intention is powerful. And inhale back to the center. So this time we're going to imagine we're turning our head to look over our left shoulder. So close the eyes, inhale here. And as you exhale, imagine turning your head to look all the way over that left shoulder. Smoothly rotate. Just imagine this. Few breaths. And then go ahead and open your eyes, inhale here, and exhale, actually look over your left shoulder. Notice that you go a lot further than you did the first time. And then we'll go back and forth. Inhale to center, exhale, looking over the right shoulder, just moving the head. Inhale to center, exhale, looking over the shoulder. And gorgeous. Shoulder back bit. We're going to take our hands. You can clasp them, or you can just press the one palm on the back of the other hand. And we're going to reach them up, pressing the palms towards the ceiling, keeping the head and neck free. We don't want our head to fall forward, right? Just try to keep it between our upper arms. Inhale here. And then exhale, bring the arms out in front of you, palms facing in, opening up the shoulder blades. Inhale, palms up. And exhale, arms out, palms facing in. You just open these areas up. And you don't need to move at the hip when you do this. Just consider the actions coming from the area around the shoulder joints, right? You widen the shoulder blades apart. You slide the shoulder blades up. Notice how they feel moving with your own breath. And then just release the hands down to the sides of your hips. Again, you can roll the shoulders back anytime you like to kind of reset and remind yourself, lay that soft front body strength back. So we're just going to practice a little balance. We're going to lift an alternate foot off the floor. Those of you who are seated, you could do the all fours position where you lift the one arm and the opposite leg behind you. Okay, that's what they call bird dogs. So if you're on the floor, you can come to all fours, stretch out the left arm and the right leg. Okay, seated, we're just gonna inhale here as we lift up the left arm and exhale to lift the right leg a few inches off the floor. Gorgeous, nice. So it's opposite leg and opposite arm. Very nice. And release them down when you're ready. So hold them as long as it feels comfortable. And then the other side, inhaling up, right arm and left leg off the floor if you are seated. Beautiful. And do it a few more times. So those of you that are on the floor in that all fours position, keep lifting the whole front waist up in towards your spine in that all fours position, especially when you lift the arm. Holding the lifted position for a few breaths and strengthening the sides of the rib cage in towards each other will build a little bit of strength for you around the abdominals and back, which is a great way to increase support. Strong back, strong abdominals create support for a neutral spine. Maybe you do one more on each side, or maybe you had enough. Great job. Awesome. So if you are on all fours, what you can do now is sit your hips back towards your heels. So relax back in what is child's pose. If you're in a chair, we're going to take a nice big inhalation. And as we exhale, we're going to hinge forward over our legs. Just a little bit. And I want you to think about widening your butt back in both positions, chair or floor. Widen the hips back. Extend through the spine. If you're on the floor, stretch your arms out in front of you if you haven't already. Great job. And then if you're on the floor, inhale back to all fours. If you're in a chair, lift the heart, inhale back up to seated. Gorgeous. And we'll go back and forth like this. Inhale here. If you're in the chair and you want, you can stretch the arms behind you when you do this. If you're on the floor, you're going to move back into extended child's pose. Those of us in the chair, we have the option to inhale the arms up. And exhale as we hinge to reach the hands back. Those of you on the floor, you're going to inhale, all fours, exhale, extended child. And just a few more. Just feeling the length of your spine. Feeling how the spine lengthens. And back to the all fours position if you're on the floor, or just sitting tall if you're in the chair. Next, we're going to do side bends. So those of you who are on the floor, reach your hips back to extended child's pose and your arms out in front of you. Those of you seated, sit up nice and tall. So those of you in extended child's pose with your hips back and your arms out in front because you're on the floor, walk both hands over to the right corner of your mat to stretch the left side of your waist. Those of you in the chair, we're just going to lift that left arm up and over to the right to stretch the left side of our waist. Think about stretching right where the rib cage is. Breathe into that rib cage. Breathe into that lung, right? You definitely want to breathe into that left lung. And then you're going to switch sides. Walking the fingers over to the other corner of your mat or lifting the other arm up overhead if you're in a chair. Again, you're stretching along that right side of your waist where your rib cage is. Breathe there. And then go back to the other side once again. Stretching to that side of the waist. Walk the hands to the other side of the mat. You're down on the floor, or reaching over if you're seated. And then to the other side. And great job. So if you're on the floor, you come to all fours. If you're seated, just come up to sitting tall. Great job. Great job. Great job. Okay, so those of you who are on the floor, I'd like you to sit on the floor with your legs out in front of you, please. Those of you in a chair, I mentioned this in the beginning, you might need something to put your feet on if you're on a chair. And maybe you have like a low bench or some big cushion or something that you can put your feet on. Because we're going to work on Navasana or boat pose. That takes some abdominal strength. And in a chair, it can be quite challenging. It's challenging on the floor as well. Okay, so I'm going to turn my chair side so you can see. So those of you who are on the floor, you're sitting tall with your legs, feet out in front of you, knees bent. Those of us in a chair, like I said, I have this handy dandy block here, so I can use it. Those on the floor don't need it. So, you know, I'll just kind of show you how it works. So I'm going to sit more to the front of my chair. Okay. Those of you sitting on the floor, you're going to sit up tall, knees bent, feet on the floor, and lift your feet off the floor for boat pose. So boat pose looks like this, right? Both feet off the floor. Now this is hard if you're in a chair, right? So if you're on the floor and you can balance up, beautiful. Remember, you want to rock back a little bit and then maybe put 1 foot, 2 feet on a block, hold the hands to heart center or bring the arms out in front. So you're going to feel some abdominal work going on here. If you don't have a block to put your feet on the chair, you can lift one for the other. And then come out of the pose for a moment, give yourself a break. The thing about Navasana or boat pose is that we don't need to military our back and squeeze it straight. When you bring your knees up like that and balance, you need to let the belly button draw in just a bit. So if you're sitting on the floor, roll just above your tailbone until you feel your belly button drop in boat pose. For those of us in the chair, we just want to remember, we're going to lean back a little bit. We're going to pull that low belly in and up, maybe lift the feet up. If you're in a chair, woo-hoo, I know this is tough, or keep them on the block. We're leaning back in the chair without hunching the spine. Those of you seated on the floor, if you roll back slightly, a little more above your tailbone, do you feel your low belly drop in? It's a beautiful thing. Those on the chair, you can practice with one leg or the other. I know, both poses is challenging. It's a lot of work for the abdominals. You just don't want to feel pulling in the front of the thighs when we do it. Okay? Awesome. And maybe just one more time. Really hard in the chair. Don't have to take both feet off the floor. Up here is good enough. 1 foot's good enough. That's good. And come on back up. Ooh, awesomely awesome. That's a great job. That's a great job. So I think it's time to do a little bit of twisting. So those of you seated on the floor, you can cross your legs if that feels comfortable to you. We're going to do just a little bit of twisting, okay? I like to do abdominal work and twisting both together. So if you're sitting on the floor, sit comfortably, sit well, sit up tall. If you're sitting in the chair, same thing applies. Sit to the front of the sit bones. Take a nice inhalation up, lifting up the sides of the rib cage, and then exhale, twist the torso. So place your hands, like if you're twisting to the left, you can put your right hand on your left thigh. Sure, you could. Stay up nice and tall. And then let's switch sides. Inhale up. And exhale to the other side. Stay as tall as you can when you twist. Really, really important. So we opened up the sides of our waist, right? When we do those side stretches. That makes it easier for us to lift that rib cage up and away from the pelvis. And once again to the other side. Inhale up. And exhale, twist. And inhale up. And exhale, twist. And back. Great job. Awesome. So those of us in the chair, are going to need to sit a little bit forward. Those of you on the floor, you can lie down on your backs with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. We're just going to alternate bringing a knee in towards our chest for that stretch. So if you're on the mat, you can lie down on your back, knees bent, feet on the floor. If you're in the chair, just sit up nice and tall towards the front of the chair. We're just going to alternate bringing a knee in towards our chest. Okay? Inhale your arms up overhead. And exhale, bring your right knee in towards your chest, putting your hands behind your right thigh. Oh, that feels good, yeah? And then you're going to switch. Inhale up. You're going to put that foot down, bring those arms back overhead, and exhale the other knee in towards your chest. And just do this a few more times with your breath. If you're seated in the chair, really try to think about bringing the knee to your chest, not your chest to your knee, okay? As much. If you're on the floor, you have the support of the floor, so you can draw that knee into whatever's comfortable. Now, if you want a little bit more opening, if you're on the floor, stretch both legs out straight and then alternate a knee in with the other leg straight on the floor. So start out with both legs out on the floor, nice and straight, nice and tall, and then alternate a knee in, keeping the other straight leg on the floor. So you can do that if you're on the up on the back of the other. Those of us that are seated, we're just working on it. Okay, I don't know if y'all can still hear me. I don't know if you can see me. Can you hear me? No, no seeing, no hearing. Okay, I texted Karen. Oh, you can hear me. Okay, if you can hear me, beautiful. But if you can't see me, that's okay, because I can talk you through just about anything. Okay, so take a seat, or if you're lying on the floor, lie down with both knees bent, both feet on the floor. So those of you lying on the floor with your knees bent, release your arms out to the sides and gently twist by bringing both knees to one side and then back up and then to the other side. Okay, awesome. Those of us who are seated in a chair, we're just going to take a moment to inhale the arms up and then exhale, crossing the right leg over the left if you're in a chair. Right leg over the left if you're in a chair. Bring the arms down. So cross your legs if you're seated in the chair. Cross the right leg over the left leg, just like you're going to have coffee with a friend. And breathe a few times, inhaling the arms up with your legs crossed and exhaling them down and inhaling them up and exhaling them down. Those of you in the chair, cross the other leg over now instead. And inhale the arms up, sitting up nice and tall, and exhaling. Those of you on the floor, lying down with the knees bent and both feet on the floor, walk your feet and your knees as far apart from each other as they will go. Walk the feet and the knees as far apart from each other as they will go. And now do the same twist. Inhaling and then exhaling both knees to the right. Beautiful. And really feel what's opening there. You can have your arms overhead if you like. So do that a few times, hold that a few times. Gorgeous. Those of us in the chair, we're going to come down, both feet on the floor, sitting up on the chair. So no more cross legs for those of us in the chair. Those of you in the chair, widen your feet apart, turning out the knees and the toes. If you're seated in the chair, widen the knees, the feet out. And then just make some circles with your torso. They can hear me, but they can't see me. Make some circles with your torso if you are in a chair. If you're on the floor, you're still taking the wide knees from one side to the other. And if you're in the chair, circle the other direction now. Good job. Awesome. Thanks, Karen. Now you can see me again. All right, beautiful. Awesome. Okay, so those of you on the floor, you can walk those feet back in. Okay, so those of you on the floor, we're going to do bridge pose. Same thing with us in the chair. We're going to do bridge pose. So those of you on the floor, bend your knees. Your knees should be about hips width apart. Your ankles may be underneath your knees, toes pointing straight forward if you're on the floor. Put your arms by your sides and begin to snuggle your shoulder blades together underneath you so your heart begins to lift. And then when you are ready, you can press into your palms and the bottom of your feet. Inhale, stretch the knees towards your toes to lift your back end into bridge pose. And just do that a few times, practicing snuggling the shoulder blades underneath you. For those of us in a chair, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to sit forward in the chair, sit up tall, roll the shoulders back, pull the elbows straight back, and then place them either on the bar of the chair, the seat of the chair, or on the back of your hips if you're in the chair. Roll the shoulders back and lift your heart, arch your spine. Good job. So you're either doing the bridge pose, and if you like the bridge pose, definitely hold it for a few breaths. Or you can move in the bridge pose, hips up, hips down, whatever works for you. Bridge pose is hard, okay? So take your time with that. Those of us in the chair, we come back up to the tall position. So those of us in the chair, we're going to do it one side at a time. So we're going to bring the left elbow back, roll the shoulders to lift the heart, and then lift the right arm up. And then go ahead and take that left hand to the back of your hips. Good, 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 beautiful, very good. And then switch, those of you in the chair, sitting up. Now you're going to bring the other elbow back. You're going to lift the heart, maybe place that right hand on the back of the hips and lift the left arm. Yep, beautiful, everybody doing your bridge poses or variations of a back bend. Good job, good job. Inhale here and exhale. Awesomely awesome. So those of you on the floor, when you are ready, knees bent, feet on the floor, roll over onto your side and come back up to sitting with your feet out in front of you again. Those of us in the chair, we're going to stay in the chair. All right. I love to do twisting. So those of you that are seated on the floor, can you sit in a cross-legged position? Sit your butts up on a little cushion if it's challenging to sit cross-legged. So what we're going to work on is sitting cross-legged and twisting. So take a moment, sit cross-legged, roll the shoulders back. Notice how that feels. Same thing for those in a chair. Sit, cross your left leg over your right if you're seated in a chair. Sit up nice and tall. Okay, so those of you who are on the floor, stretch both legs out in front of you now. Bend the right knee and bring the right foot across the left side to the floor if you are seated on the floor. Beautiful. You ladies know what's going on, right? So you're taking the one leg over. If you're on the floor, those of us in a chair, we have it right here. Those on the floor, they have to bring it over. Sit up as tall as you can. Now it's up to you, those of you on the floor, if you want to bend the left knee and slide that left foot and ankle underneath the right hip. So that's kind of more of a cross position for those of you on the floor. Okay? Yeah. Yes, exactly. So you're going to bring the left heel more underneath the right hip and the right leg across. Those of us in the chair, we just have this beautiful cross-legged position. So once you get that cross, however you want to do it, it's okay. Sit up nice and tall. Inhale those arms up. And exhale the hands to heart center. Good. So just sitting in that position. Now, when we twist in yoga, we twist toward the bent knee, upper or front leg. So if it's your right leg crossed over on the floor, you're going to turn your torso to the right. Okay? Those of us sitting in the chair, same thing. If it's your right leg that's crossed over, that's the direction you're going to turn in, to the right. Okay? Inhale up. Lift that rib cage up. And then exhale, turn. Beautiful. So you're turning in the direction of the upper leg. And some folks will wrap their arm around that upper knee. You know, everybody's a little different. Whether you're just cross-legged in Siddhasana, Sukhasana, or whether you're or crossing more heavily into more of a cow space pose, that's fine. Sit up nice and tall. You can even take your back arm and gently bring it to your lower back when you're in the twist. You can take that back arm and wrap it around the back of your body. If that feels comfortable to you, just make sure you don't create any tension in the neck or shoulder. And by wrap, I just mean place. And then gently inhale and exhale and release. Very nice, very good. So now we're going to switch the leg that's crossed over the top. Those of you on the floor, you're going to maybe lengthen the legs out, cross the left leg over, and then maybe bring the right heel over to the left hip. It's up to you. Those are some chair. I'm just going to cross over. Some things that you can do to feel more secure in a cross-legged position. Activate your feet. Squeeze your toes a little bit. Imagine squeezing the legs in towards each other, or press against the floor with whatever part of your legs are touching the floor. Those three things might help make you feel more secure by adding more muscular strength, okay? So sitting up nice and tall, inhaling up to lift that rib cage up out of the pelvic area. Inhale here, exhale, twist to the other side. You can wrap that arm around that upper knee. Keep lifting up through the tops of the ears. Twisting poses, when you cross the leg and twist, your pelvis has to move when you twist. So we don't want to feel like we're squeezing so tightly those crossed legs. So the pelvis has a little bit of movement there, okay? And then you can take the back hand and gently bring it around your back if you like. I kind of slide the back arm around and put the back of my hand against my lower back or side back. It just helps to open up the shoulder a little bit more, but it's okay. You can do very small movements here. And we go at our own pace. And when you're ready, inhale and exhale, and come back to the center position. Awesomely awesome. You can uncross the legs. So what we're going to get ready to do next is work on downward facing dog using the chair. All right, because I want to open up the back of our legs, back of our hips a little bit more. Those of you on the floor, if you're comfortable doing downward facing dog, you can move to the all fours position now and ready your body for downward facing dog. Knees underneath the hip joints, hips width apart, the heels of your palms underneath the top edge of your shoulders, right elbow straight, firm the belly. Those of us in the chair, we're going to stand up and we're going to use the seat of the chair to put our hands on for downward facing dog. Okay, so if you're on the floor on all fours in downward facing dog, let the inner elbow creases look at each other. Okay, we want a good position. Let the onus of the weight be at the base of the index finger and thumb if you're on the floor. Okay, and what you're going to do on the floor is pull your belly button up, tuck your toes under, lift your knees a few inches, and then lift the up with the tuchus. You can bend and unbend the knees as needed. Press forward and through with the hands. Those of us standing facing the seat of the chair, nice and tall. Inhale up. And then as we exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips, place our hands on the seat of the chair. We do the same thing that the people are doing on the floor. So if you've got a chair, walk back so you're more in a camel A position. Reach your hips back. Imagine you're going to plant your butt cheeks on the wall up behind you. It's okay if the knees bend a little bit. And push the floor away. Push the chair away with your hands. Feel the outer left and right sides of your shoulders on your back slide towards your pinky. Push, push, push into the floor or press gently into the chair. Feel the back body open. Gorgeous. Now, if you're in downward facing dog, because you're on the floor, gently walk your feet forward to your hands. Slow, slow, slow. Bend the knees. Good, good, good. Those of us in the chair, walk the feet in and do a nice forward bend. So now everybody's in a forward bend. Your feet can be a little wider, outer edges parallel, and you can use blocks underneath your hands or whatever you have to make it easier in the forward bend. Those of us with a chair can put our forearms on the chair. And just see if we can let the vertebrae of the spine relax and open. You can feel the thigh bones lift up and into the hip sockets. And then soften the low belly up into the pelvis to let the back just relax and open. Wow. The purpose of forward bends in yoga is not to open up your hamstrings, which a lot of people think, but it's actually to stretch your spine. See if you can let the head and neck relax. And then you can place your hands on your thighs if you're on the floor. Straighten the elbows and bring the torso parallel to the ground, and then push into your feet. Move the front body into the back body, come all the way up. Same thing from the chair. Hands to the thighs and up. Bring the arms all the way up to Tadasana position when you're ready. To come up, firm that belly, push the chest into the spine, push into your feet. Come up nice and tall. Inhaling and exhaling down to the hands into Tadasana or mountain. Find your Tadasana. So I'd like to practice a little bit of plank pose as we're talking about abdominals. So those of you that are on the floor, you have the opportunity to inhale your arms up, exhale to your forward bend, step back to your downward facing dog, and then practice coming forward to plank pose, okay? Those of us in the chair, it's gonna be the same thing. So you inhale the arms up, exhale as you fold, bending the knees as needed, hands on the chair or the floor for downward facing dog. So walk your feet back if you've got the chair and you need more space. So once you're in your downward facing dog, make sure the hands are planted, inner elbow creases look at each other, inhale forward to plank pose. Good, 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 good. And you can be on your knees in plank pose, it's okay, right? But if you've got a chair, you're just kind of leaning the body forward over the seat of the chair, belly firm, hug the rib cage in towards itself, right and left side. Inhale here, exhale back to your downward facing dog. Ooh. Or you can always go back to extended child's pose if you're on the floor, it's okay. And then maybe do that a few more times. Remember, keep the inner elbow creases looking at each other. And as you come forward to the plank, hug the right and left side of your rib cage towards each other. Strength, 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 whether you're using a chair or the floor. And then on the exhalation, let your belly button lift you back up to downward facing dog. And maybe just one plank pose or don't. If you don't want your plank pose and you're on the floor, go on back to extended child's pose and rest in child's pose. Okay? So you can rest now if you're on the floor in either child's pose, or maybe you'd rather rest in forward bend. But if you're on the floor, I think you should come down and rest in child's pose, okay? When you're ready. Those of us using the chair are going to walk our feet forward to the chair and bring our forearms down, and once again do a nice forward bend over the chair. This opens up the back of the hips, relaxes everything down. Whether it's child's pose or you're in this forward bend using the seat of the chair, breathe into the back body. So I would be remiss if we didn't do any lunging. Okay, we're gonna do a little bit today, all right? So those of you that are on the floor, you can come back to all fours. Those of you with the chair, place your hands on the seat of the chair, roll the shoulders back, hands on the thighs, and come up. Okay, so those of you on the floor on all fours, those of you using a chair, we're gonna use our chair to help us balance, okay? So we're gonna do some lunging. So you can use the chair any way you like. You can use the chair to hold on to the back of the chair when you lunge, or you can use it to hold on to the side of the chair. Those of you on all fours, step 1 foot forward. So those of you on the floor, step your right foot forward to your right thumb for lunge pose. That's a knee down lunge pose for those of you on the floor. Those of us in the chair, we are standing next to the chair, holding on, one leg forward, one leg back. Good. So whatever lunge that you've chosen, really feel that one leg is not getting more work than the other. Roll your shoulders back, especially those of you on the floor. We want a long spine. Come up onto your fingertips so that your abs do the work of keeping your spine long. Good. That front knee and ankle for all of us should be lined up. We don't want the front knee forward over the ankle. Now, if you're feeling it, those of you on the floor, you can bring your one knee down if you want and walk your hands off the front leg to bring your hands up to lunge pose. This is really hard with the knee off the floor. So put your knee on the floor, gently lift the arms up. You've got it. walk your hands up that front thigh and lift your arms up in your torso. Those of us here next to the chair are lifting our arms up and lowering our hips down between our legs. Those of us in the chair. Good, beautiful. Reach up through your right side a little bit more. And then through the left side a little bit more. And then through the right side a little bit more. Okay, so those of you that are on the floor, bring your arms out to shoulder height. Beautiful. Those of you that are on the floor, you're going to turn your heart towards your front, turn the whole torso towards your front knee, right? And then bring the one arm to the floor for a twist. Good, beautiful, right. You turn your heart towards the front knee, not away from it. Yes, exactly. So if you're on the floor, you are turning towards that bent knee. Yep, towards the bent knee. Other direction, good. Those of us using a chair, our twist is going to be a little different. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Hands out and here. Hips down and just turn towards that front knee. Good. So we can do this, those of us standing next to our chair. We can twist too. It just looks a little bit different. Now we want to work on the other side. So come back to the center, step the 1 foot back, and then step the other foot forward. Because there's another leg. You can do it from down facing dog. You can do it from all fours, whatever works for you. And come to your lunge. So now the other leg is forward, the other foot is forward, the other leg is back. You want to have a nice lunge. And a lunge doesn't flatten the back foot on the floor. A lunge keeps the back heel lifted. So see if you can do that if you're doing a full lunge, or you can keep the one knee on the ground. And then we're going to bring the arms up overhead. So you're going to walk your hands up your front thigh if you're on the floor, and bring your arms up overhead with the knee down. Good, 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 good. Just take some breaths, reach up through the right side of your waist, and then the left side to give a little stretch to the right side of your rib cage and left side of your rib cage. Woohoo! Yep, you got it. And then you're going to add that twist. So if you're on the floor, you're going to bring that right hand down and turn your heart to the left if it's your left leg that's forward. So decide what you're going to do with that twist. You always turn towards the front knee, bring the opposite hand on the floor. Good. So if you're on the floor, it looks like this. If you're using the chair and standing on the floor, you are just simply turning your heart towards that front bent knee. Holding the chair if you need to, or bringing the arms out. Everyone has a different option here. Okay? Just do the twist the best that you can. And then back to the center position. Awesomely awesome. Bring the torso down. Step the front foot back to the back foot if you're on all fours. Step the back foot up if you're standing next to the chair. All right. Gorgeous. Very, very good. Very, very good. So we're going to do some more forward bending with our legs long once again. So those of you on the floor, sit on the floor with both your legs straight out in front of you. Sit up on a little height if this is difficult. Do that when you're ready. Those of us in the chair, we're going to sit in the chair. And we're going to lengthen both legs out from the chair. So both heels are down, both toes are up. So if you're sitting in a chair, you're going to lengthen both legs. If you are sitting on the floor, same thing. Lengthen both legs out in front of you. Sit up tall, roll the shoulders. So a seated forward bend in this way is no different than any other forward bend. It just is more challenging because the hips are on the floor. So if you need to bend your knees a little bit, please do. Keep the toes lifting. You can inhale the arms up. And as you exhale, those of you on the floor, bring your fingertips to the floor. Those of us here are going to bring to our thighs. And just slightly forward bend towards your thighs. Those of you on the floor, walk your hands out to wherever you feel comfortable. Feel the spine, feel the belly begin to draw in and the spine round. This happens whether you're in the chair or whether you're on the floor. So it's a little rounding of the spine. With both legs straight, which I know isn't easy. Keep a little bend to the knees if you're in that chair. Just let the spine soften. Good. If it's easy for you to forward bend here, and you want to put a block or something between the floor and your forehead, in this forward bend you can, but you don't have to come all the way down. Just think about a gentle curve in the spine, draw the low belly in towards the spine when you're in this type of forward bend. Again, we fold that low belly, those organs, up into the pelvis. That's what we do. Leaning forward bend. And you can feel this stretch right above the top of your pants probably. Upper back of the hips, and the lower back. And then gently, you're going to walk the hands in, roll the shoulders back, and begin to lift the heart to come back up to a nice tall position. Awesome, way awesome. Good, 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 good. Let's widen the position. So those of you who are on the floor, what you're going to want to do is put your legs in this position in front of you. Looks like a pinwheel. So see if you can do that. Yep. Both legs go over to one side, both knees bent, sitting up tall on the floor. Yeah, widen your knees as far as you need to make this pinwheel shape. Those of us in the chair, it's the same thing. We're going to bring both knees kind of over, both knees bent, they're going to go over to one side. Good. Roll the shoulders back, sit up nice and tall. Inhale up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Very good, very nice. That's a challenging position to do, okay? So be careful with this. It's difficult on the outer hips, yep. Just hold the position. Some folks, you can turn your heart towards the front leg, front knee. And maybe you can hinge slightly over the front knee, but maybe not. So it's completely up to you. You don't have to. Okay, this is a challenging. Those of you on the floor, it looks like this. It looks like a pinwheel. Yep, and then you sit up and you hinge over your front knee. So it's a little more challenging on the floor, okay? Beautiful. It looks like pigeon pose, those of you who have a yoga practice, right? But those of us in the chair, we're just kind of turned here, kind of hinging a little bit over this leg. And maybe we're going up and we're going down. So those of us in the chair, maybe we're lifting the torso up and bringing it back down. Those of you on the floor, maybe you're holding this stretch. It's a great hip stretch. Great hip stretch. Just hold it for a few breaths. And then when you're ready, come on back up and switch directions with the legs. So now you're going to bring the legs over to the other side. Those of you on the floor in that pinwheel shape. Again, it's a modification of pigeon pose. Those of us in the chair, we have the wide legs, and we're going to turn them both to the other side now. Inhale up. Everybody lengthen the torso up away from the hips. And then exhale and hinge over that front leg just a little bit. Maybe you can lay your whole chest over the front leg. Maybe not. You can be on your forearms, those of you on the floor. Those of us in the chair, we can lift the torso up and exhale, lower it. Just kind of practice that. Notice where we're feeling the stretching. Those in the chair, we're going to feel the stretch more in the mid-back or lower back. Just breathe there. It's very tight, very difficult to do. And just hold. Just hold here for a breath or two. Just give it a hold. And then when you're ready, come on up. Good job. Those of you on the floor, you have the option to do a Baddha Konasana, which is bound angle. So those of you on the floor, you can sit and bring the soles of your feet together for bound angle, butterfly pose. If you'd rather, those of you on the floor, you can lie down on your back and bring the soles of your feet together because we're at the end of practice. So if you want to do it for a few breaths sitting up, if you're on the floor, then go ahead and lay down on your back and do the Supta Baddha Konasana. Please do that, okay? Those of us in the chair, we can use a block or whatever we have or not, and we can bring the soles of our feet together in Baddha Konasana. Yep, use a pillow, use whatever you've got, and just take a seat here. This is a challenging pose. If you like to do this pose on the floor, either seated or lying down on the floor, if you have any cushions nearby or blocks, slide them underneath between the floor and your outer knees. And that way, your mind kind of feels that you have something to rest your knees on, and it lets go. And it allows you to open up the hips even more. Now, if you feel really tight here, we can just do a little practice in before we finish. Roll your shoulders back and put your hands behind you on the floor or the chair. So go ahead and put your hands behind you and lean your, do you notice what happens to your knees? They wide open. Those of us who are seated. If you're resting on the floor, just rest. Those of us who are seated, the minute you put your weight of your torso back into your hands, your knees open up, yeah? All right, the inner thighs relax. See if we can keep those inner thighs open and relaxed as we walk the hands back up. Oof. Yeah, maybe not. It's okay. Bring the hands back to the thighs, sitting up. You can incur that feeling of wideness. I can see that you have. So sometimes we just have to kind of work back and forth with our body and what it naturally does. Deep breaths. Great job, everybody. So now it's time for our little meditation because Shavasana takes at least 10 minutes and there's not a lot of time for that on Zoom. So we're just going to do a little breathing exercise. So come to a comfortable position, everybody. You can lie on the floor on your back, put something under your knees, whatever, put a cushion under your head, or you can sit in your chair. But let's come to a resting position so we can practice our breathing. Okay? So those of you in the chair, feet flat on the floor, sit up tall, sit well to the front of the sit bones. Those of you on the floor, go ahead and relax to any position on the floor that feels good to you. If there's any cushions or blankets or whatever you've got to, put on your head or under the back of your knees if it's hard for you to lengthen your legs out. And just see if you can take a few inhales and exhales and let go. So take a nice inhale through the nose and exhale through your mouth. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale a little bit longer out through your mouth. Inhale gently and softly. Let the inhale rise up. And on the exhalation, let it go. Lengthen the exhalation just a little bit longer if you can. You can count in your head. You could inhale for the count of 3 or 4, and then exhale for the count of 4, 5, 6, or 7. You can do that if counting helps you. Just think about inhaling and exhaling, and lengthening the exhale just a bit. And it's okay to be with whatever thoughts come while you're practicing your breathing. Any distractions, we are kind and compassionate. Distractions are a part of our life and sometimes a wonderful part of our life. So we just say, okay, there's this distraction. There's my cat. There's my dog. I could hear a phone ringing two rooms away. It's okay. And then come back to focusing on your breath. And maybe you focus on the counting. Or maybe you focus on the bodily sensations that you feel each time you inhale and exhale. Maybe you feel the belly move or the chest when you breathe. Maybe you can softly focus on how the floor feels underneath your body. How does your body feel resting against the seat of the chair or the floor? So come back to your breath or sensations in your body after each distraction, any thought that comes through. With kindness and compassion, we just move our attention back to our bodies and our breath. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you live with ease, free from suffering. Remember to take time to rest and breathe whenever you can. Thank you for joining me for your practice. May we all find peace, no matter what we are given. Namaste, my friends. Namaste. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Thank you for joining me. I so appreciate it. Bye-bye. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for joining me. You did a great job. I love being able to see you. I'm so not used to that. I love being able to see you. So great job, everybody.